look that I love. Talk with me about the look, and then how do you bring a client's look into their home?
I think, whenever we're working with clients, we're going through tear sheets, we're going through fabric swatches, you always get that ooh, you get an audible gasp or an audible ooh that you know you've got the nail right in the middle of the head. So that's something we need to bring into the project really big. People respond very viscerally to fabrics and patterns. And I think it's just being attuned to knowing what that sound, what that gasp means to the project. And that's how we start. That's how we start building the space. This is the big concept we're going to use. And then we need to, using our balance of texture and pattern and color and finishes and work around that first kind of big ooh moment. The great thing with color, it's a can of paint. It's $30, $40, maybe $50 and an afternoon. I think it's one of the best ways to experiment where you can paint and repaint and start and maybe change your mind. You have to get it on the wall, but it's a very easy, accessible way of bringing design into your home without needing to have a designer per se to bring that to you. Again, it's kind of back to that ooh moment. If you start tearing out things that you love or putting a Pinterest board together of things that you love, you will start seeing kind of a through line of colors that you're drawn to that you may not even realize until you start kind of stacking them all together in one place.
Many designers and consumers start someplace, whether it's a piece of art or wallpaper or just a color. Where do you like to start?
We start every project with textiles. It's one of the biggest parts of the project. It's one of the more expensive parts of the project. And I feel like from a client point of view, you get a really visceral response when we're dealing with textiles. So I think it's a good way of kind of, again, finding an ooh moment, finding something that feels really impactful to their own sense of taste.
So for people who don't know, describe your words, your look.
My family is from the Scottish Highlands, so we have a lot of Scottish influence. But I also grew up in Mississippi, so we do a lot of very strong. This is a very southern, an aggressively southern room that I wanted to work on. The other part of my childhood was I'm actually an Air Force brat. So we grew up a little internationally. So we lived in the Far East and Korea and in Japan. So I have a real melting pot of cultural influences that I try to bring all of that to my own work, and especially work that is my own home and showcase projects like this.
From a consumer's perspective, as they are thinking, I need to change my room, what do you suggest they do to keep it fresh? Like your closet, how do you keep a home fresh?
The best thing you can do, and we do this in my house all the time, we take everything out. We'll leave the furniture and the case goods, all the props, all the lamps, all the books, all the flowers, all of everything out, and then place everything back. And it's a great way of editing. So nothing is sitting here because you placed it, because it sat there 6 months ago and you just never moved it. Everything is purposefully, mindfully placed. So that it's a great way of editing. And I feel you can do that to your pantry. You can do that to your linen closet. Are those towels just in there because you're just too lazy to throw them away? When they're out of the closet, it's easier to throw them away if they're not in good shape and need to be replaced. I think kind of touching everything, not to get all Marie Kondo about it, because I love collecting. So don't edit, but be mindful about what's in your space and why it's there. And is it just sat there because you've walked in the house and put a bag down and that bag is still sitting there?
We're hearing that many young millennials don't want their parents' furniture, and yet I also love to collect antiques. How does someone really edit their home and not have to live with their parents' furniture, their grandparents' furniture, especially if it's not their style?
Well, and I guess the Southerner in me would yell at them because you should have your parents' and your grandparents' furniture in your house. And there's nothing I think every room needs an antique in it just to give it some history and some soul and some depth and some kind of emotional value. It's not just things that came off the truck that you bought at a showroom. So I don't know if I'd fight them to the death, but I would give a good argument toward keeping some of those ancestral pieces. They're important parts of your history. They're important parts of your family. And I think it's a great way of having that lineage be present in your day-to-day life. The table that you eat on was the table that your grandmother ate on. I think that's delicious and kind of makes the food taste better.
Thank you very much for joining me.
Certainly, thank you for coming by.